Welcome to the Deep Dive. Hi, I'm Pat.
And hi, I'm Jessie.
Today we're taking a deep dive into something, well, something that touches all of us, really. Yet it can be so easily misunderstood. We're talking about what exactly are triggers.
Hmm.
We've received so many thoughtful questions from you, our listeners, and honestly, we've gone through quite a stack of sources, everything from really powerful personal stories, groundbreaking scientific research, to some insightful online discussions, too.
Yeah, a real mix.
And our mission for you today is, well, pretty simple. We want to extract the most crucial insights, give you a kind of shortcut to being truly well-informed on this often misunderstood topic,
Uh-huh.
and hopefully spark some aha moments along the way.
That's right. It's a topic that really blends psychology, biology, and just our everyday experiences. So we're going to try and explore from all these different angles.
Yeah.
Our goal is really to leave you with a hopefully well-rounded and deeply engaging understanding by the end.
Okay, so let's just jump right in then.
Right.
A clear definition seems like the best place to start. In psychology, a trigger is essentially a specific stimulus. Now, that could be a person, a place, maybe a thing, or even a particular situation. And what it does is it unexpectedly causes an intense emotional response.
Right.
Sometimes it can even cause an individual to quite literally relive a past trauma. Think of it maybe as a sensory reminder,
Right.
like a specific sound you hear, something you see, a smell, or even just a particular time of day hitting you wrong.
And this is where it's so important to make a crucial distinction, isn't it?
Yeah.
A true trigger, especially when we're talking about mental health, actually causes a disproportionate reaction. It's not just about being uncomfortable or, simply offended by something.
Right. It's different.
When someone is truly triggered, their mind and body respond almost as if they are actively experiencing that original trauma or that past intense event all over again. Right now.
To really grasp the power of a trigger, just sometimes seeing how profound the impact can be, even just physically, can help. Let me tell you about Ian. When he was just 16, he had this terrifying experience.
Mm.
Severe anaphylaxis. That's a life-threatening allergic reaction.
Wow.
And here's the kicker. He didn't even eat anything. He merely touched a friend's water bottle that, without him knowing, had peanut butter residue on it.
Just touched it.
Just it. His mom, Katie, later said he was so sensitive, one peanut could have killed him. That's how severe it was.
That's incredible sensitivity. So he had a known allergy before this.
Oh yeah, he'd actually been diagnosed with a severe peanut allergy as a young boy. But this incident just highlighted how critical his sensitivity still was. It was so severe, in fact, that even a simple skin prick test with peanut extract caused a really strong reaction. He needed immediate medical intervention, epinephrine, antihistamine, the works.
So even the tiniest exposure was a major danger.
Exactly. Thankfully, though, Ian was referred to Johns Hopkins All-Children's Food Allergy Clinic, and there he became the first patient to undergo this groundbreaking new oral immunotherapy, or OIT. It's called Palforzia.
Palforzia, I've heard of that. It's FDA approved, right?
That's the one. It's the first FDA-approved treatment designed specifically to help protect against accidental peanut exposure.
So how does it actually work, the treatment process?
Well, it's quite precise. Patients consume these tiny, very carefully measured amounts of peanut powder. They mix it into soft food, and they do this daily for about 6 months.
Uh-huh.
And it's all done under strict medical monitoring, obviously. The idea is to gradually build up their tolerance over time.
Right, so the goal isn't like, now you can eat peanut butter sandwiches.
No, not at all. The aim isn't to let them eat peanuts freely. It's more about providing a protective buffer against accidental ingestion. The target is helping them tolerate at least the equivalent of one peanut daily.
Which could make a huge difference in terms of safety and anxiety.
Exactly. And today, Ian actually eats one peanut every day. He feels much safer because of it. Though he still, quite rightly, carries injectable epinephrine as an emergency backup, just in case.
That makes sense. What's fascinating here, connecting back to triggers, is how clearly Ian's physical reaction demonstrates a trigger at work. Even before we get into the emotional side,
Right.
his body was reacting as if this massive life-threatening danger was present simply from a tiny accidental exposure to peanuts.
Yeah.
That involuntary, automatic, survival-based response.
Yeah, it really hammers home that a trigger isn't just a mental phenomenon. It's a deep, automatic physiological response. The body remembers.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've seen the physical side, which is pretty stark. Now, let's really try and unpack this more.
Yeah.
Where do these incredibly intense reactions, whether they're physical or emotional, even come from?
Well, it turns out our brains are wired in some truly fascinating ways, shaped over millions of years of evolution.
Evolution. So this goes way back.
Way back. Emotion, believe it or not, is actually the older system in our brain, evolutionarily speaking. It's built for speed, for immediate survival.
Speed over accuracy, maybe.
In a way, yes. Think of it like this. Our brains have these super fast neural pathways, especially through a little almond-shaped part called the amygdala. Sometimes people call it the low road.
The low road. Okay.
This allows for instant, automatic reactions that completely bypass our slower, more rational thought processes. Those happen in the cortex. That's our high road.
So the low road is like the emergency shortcut.
Exactly. So when we perceive danger, our body doesn't pause for a conscious decision. It literally kicks into what's known as the fight, flight, freeze, or FFF response.
Ah, yes. Fight, flight, freeze.
And this is completely automatic. Suddenly, your heart rate and breathing speed up, getting more oxygen to your muscles so you can run or fight. Your peripheral vision might widen, your hearing sharpens.
You become hyper-aware.
Hyper-aware. Your blood even thickens slightly to prepare for clotting in case of injury. You might start sweating, and interestingly, your perception of pain can actually drop.
And the freeze part.
Freezing is basically the FFF response on hold, where you stay completely still, assessing, ready for whatever comes next, preparing.
It's amazing how automatic it all is.
It is. And what's truly fascinating, or maybe sometimes problematic, is how this primal wiring still affects us today. In moments of really high stress or intense emotion, the amygdala can actually override the cortex.
Right.
It's what's famously known as an amygdala hijack.
The hijack. Yeah, I've heard that term.
And that often leads to those impulsive actions we might regret later. If we connect this to the bigger picture, modern contexts like a tense social media exchange or high work stress, these can activate those ancient emotional triggers, even when an extreme immediate reaction might lead to really negative consequences in our current lives.
So our wiring hasn't quite caught up with, say, Twitter arguments.
You could say that, yeah. And it's not just about an immediate threat activating us in the moment. Our brain's very architecture, how it's built, can be profoundly shaped by stress over time.
Okay, how does that work? Is all stress bad then?
Not necessarily. Mild or moderate stress, especially when we have supportive adult relationships around us, can actually be part of healthy development. It helps us learn to cope, build resilience.
Right, like learning to ride a bike involves some stress, but it helps you grow.
Exactly. But there's another kind. Toxic stress.
Toxic stress sounds ominous.
It is. Toxic stress is when the body's stress management system is activated strongly, frequently, or for prolonged periods. And crucially, often without those buffering, supportive relationships.
So it's chronic, intense stress without relief.
Pretty much. And this type of chronic stress can really lead to damaged, weakened bodily systems and, importantly, altered brain architecture, with repercussions that can genuinely last a lifetime.
How does it alter the brain?
Well, for example, brain regions involved in fear, anxiety, and impulsivity might actually overproduce neural connections. They become hypersensitive. While regions responsible for reasoning, planning, and behavioral control the areas we rely on for thoughtful responses, our high road may produce fewer connections. They get pruned back, essentially.
Wow. So it literally wires you for more fear and less control.
That's a simplified way to put it, but yes, it can tilt the balance that way. It sounds pretty exhausting, doesn't it? Like revving a car engine for hours every single day.
Yeah, totally draining.
So the stress system itself can essentially get retuned. It starts responding at lower thresholds more frequently and for much longer periods than necessary.
Which makes you more vulnerable.
Exactly. It really increases our vulnerability to disorders like depression, anxiety, and even various physical illnesses down the line. The body keeps the score, so to speak.
And this is where those relationships come in.
Yes, this is why the role of consistent, responsive caregivers is so vital, especially in childhood. Secure relationships help children develop more controlled stress hormone reactions. They act as a buffer against these adverse effects.
Okay.
Conversely, children in insecure or, say, disorganized relationships can show higher stress hormone levels even when only mildly frightened, which over time can negatively alter their developing brain circuits, impacting their future responses to triggers.
It really highlights how foundational those early experiences are.
They truly are.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, I think, and perhaps most relatable for many listeners. We've looked at the science, the biology, but what does it actually feel like to be triggered?
The subjective experience, yes.
Our sources offered some incredibly powerful personal accounts that really bring this to life.
Yeah, there was one journalist from the PKU Journal who shared a deeply personal story about how seeing a simple baby on board sign instantly transports them back over 20 years.
Wow, 20 years just from a sign.
Just from the sign. As a former news journalist, this sign brings them right back to a horrific car crash scene they covered. It involved a drunk driver and, tragically, a car that had that very sign in the window.
Oh, that's heavy. And the reaction isn't just a memory, right?
Not at all. It's visceral. They described feeling it physically in their chest, their heart rate increasing, a slight trembling that, if they dwell on it too long, can even make their hands shake. Their mood just sours instantly, and the world around them kind of disappears. In their own words, they are back on that road, feeling angry, furious, struggling to control my rage.
It sounds completely consuming.
It does. And even specific smells, like the distinct odor of beer from the convertible involved and radiator fluid from countless accidents they'd covered, those are unavoidably linked to that memory. They become triggers, too. For someone with trauma, they wrote, being triggered is like a portal to another world.
A portal. That's a powerful image.
It really is. And there was another personal story from a writer known as Some Kind of Clever, illustrating emotional triggers related more to hostility and aggression.
Okay, how do they describe that?
The reactions described ranged quite a bit, from mild, where they'd feel simply uncomfortable and vigilant, maybe looking for an exit strategy.
Sort of on edge?
Right. To medium, feeling jittery, anxious, and fearful, just watching other people fight.
Interesting. Even witnessing it.
Yes. But the most intense reactions, they explained, came when aggression was directed at them.
Ah.
They described a disproportionate reaction, one that felt completely inconsistent with their usual personality or, logical thinking.
And physically, what happened then?
Physically, it was an overdrive state, a sudden flood of adrenaline, sweating palms, a buzzing head, feeling chilly, a racing heart, finding it hard to breathe.
The full fight-or-flight checklist.
Pretty much. And their thoughts became unclear, just sort of internally yelling, threat, bad, anticipate worst, make it stop.
That sounds terrifying.
It does, and their therapist pointed out that in these moments, they often experience a freeze response, too.
The freeze again.
Yeah. A temporary immobility, a feeling of powerlessness, unable to take action, sometimes not even realizing it until after the event was over.
That powerlessness feeling, that must be awful.
Yeah, and this really raises an important question, doesn't it? If triggers are so disruptive and clearly so painful, why do some people argue they can actually be useful for healing?
Right, that seems counterintuitive.
It does, but this is where the perspectives get fascinating. We saw a really robust debate about this on Reddit, actually, asking, are occasional triggers useful for healing?
And what were the arguments?
Well, some argued yes. They felt it combines learning and discovery with real-world practice, that true safety isn't just about avoiding all triggers, but involves learning to manage oneself within them.
Okay.
They believe triggers are essentially unhealed trauma trying to get up, get out, to be felt fully, to be processed, to heal, like the pain is surfacing for a reason.
An opportunity, in a way. But what about the other side?
Well, on the other side, many strongly argued against actively seeking out triggers, stating that for most people, they are simply damaging.
Just re-traumatize them?
Potentially, yeah. They cause those intense adrenaline and cortisol spikes, which are hard on the body. And they can even lead to something called trauma bonding, which is complex. They emphasize that more harm can often be done than good, and genuinely unsafe situations should generally be avoided.
So, avoid harm, basically.
Right. The nuance here seems crucial, doesn't it? Some triggers are connected to things that aren't inherently dangerous, maybe a specific smell, or even the dynamics of healthy relationships, which can be triggering for someone with past trauma.
Yeah, things you can't or maybe don't want to avoid forever.
Exactly. In these cases, the work isn't necessarily on avoiding the emotion itself, but on learning to manage the response.
Managing the reaction, not the feeling.
Precisely. And for someone experiencing a deep trauma trigger, simply walking away isn't easy. Because, as we discussed, the amygdala, our brain's threat detection center, literally bypasses the prefrontal cortex, our logic center.
Hijack happens.
The hijack happens. This leads to those automatic physiological and survival responses where basically logic is hijacked, which is why self-compassion truly is incredibly crucial in these moments.
Being kind to yourself when your brain is kind of freaking out.
Yes. Sometimes these deep-seated reactions are tied to what psychologists call a schema.
A schema, like a mental framework?
Exactly, a mental structure that organizes information based on past experiences. Trauma can fundamentally alter these schemas. So, for example, maybe before trauma, anger was associated with conflict resolution. But post-trauma, that same feeling of anger might trigger a schema linked to violence or danger. The emotion comes from this unconscious schema.
Wow. So the meaning attached to the feeling changes.
Fundamentally.
Okay, so what does all of this mean for us, for the listener? You might often feel like you're completely at the mercy of your emotions, right?
Yeah,
Like they just happen to you and you have no control.
that's a common feeling.
But what if I told you that's not entirely true? Here's a truly surprising fact from cutting-edge research, particularly from neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett.
Ah, yes. Her work is fascinating.
It really is. She argues that emotions are not universally expressed or recognized across cultures. They are not hardwired brain reactions that simply take over. And ultimately, we are not as uncontrollable as we might feel.
It's a pretty revolutionary idea. Instead, Barrett argues that emotions are actually guesses. Guesses your brain constructs in the moment. Billions of brain cells working together. Your brain isn't just passively reacting to the world, it's constantly predicting and constructing your experience of the world, based on a lifetime of your past experiences.
Like it's trying to make sense of things based on what happened before.
Exactly. Think of it like looking at a blurry image. Your brain instinctively searches through all its past knowledge to find what that blurry image is most like in order to make sense of it. What's the best fit?
Okay, I think I get that.
And this astonishing concept applies to how you experience your own emotions, too. Your brain is continuously making predictions and guesses about the sensations coming from within your body.
The internal signals.
Right. Now, your brain is pre-wired to make some simple feelings, things like calmness, agitation, comfort, discomfort. These are basic physiological signals, almost like a barometer for what's going on inside your body. They're present constantly, humming in the background.
Okay, like a baseline feeling?
Sort of. But these simple feelings aren't full-blown emotions yet. That's where your brain's predictions come in. Your brain links these simple sensations with what's happening around you in the world, the context to create the detailed emotions we recognize.
Context is key.
Absolutely key. Think of that churning stomach analogy she uses. If you're in a bakery surrounded by the smell of fresh bread, your brain might easily predict that feeling is hunger.
Makes sense.
But that exact same churning stomach, if you're in a hospital waiting room anticipating important test results, your brain will likely construct dread or anxiety.
Same physical sensation, completely different emotion.
Exactly. All because of the context in your brain's prediction, it's best guess based on past learning.
So the incredibly powerful takeaway here is, well, it's profound, really.
It is.
Emotions which seem to happen to you are actually made by you.
Made by you, not just happening to you.
You have more control over your emotions than you think you do.
Now, that doesn't mean you can just snap your fingers and magically change how you feel in an instant. It's not quite like flipping a switch.
Right, it's not that simple.
No. But your brain is wired in such a way that if you intentionally change the ingredients your brain uses to make emotion meaning, your interpretation, your focus, your response, you can actually transform your emotional life over time.
Change the ingredients, I like that.
It's truly about teaching your brain to predict differently in the future, making you the architect of your experience, as Barrett puts it.
The architect?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you give an example of how that might work?
Sure. A perfect example is something many of us can relate to. Test anxiety.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That hammering heartbeat you feel before a big test, it isn't necessarily anxiety. What if it's your body preparing to do battle and ace that test, getting you ready?
Reframing the physical feeling.
Exactly. Research actually shows that when students learn to reframe that physiological response, that racing heart, as energized determination instead of anxiety, they actually perform better on the test.
Wow.
Really. And that positive experience, that feeling of determination leading to success, then helps train their brain to predict differently next time they face a similar situation.
So you're actively retraining your brain's predictions.
That's a core idea. This understanding about our brain's active role is incredibly empowering, I think.
Yeah, it shifts things from feeling helpless to feeling like you have some agency.
Exactly. It means we can actively work to manage our triggers. It's maybe not about curing them or making them magically disappear overnight, but rather about developing robust coping strategies that build our resilience over time.
Okay, so building on that, what are some practical tools we can use? Things listeners can actually try.
Great question. Let's look at some strategies from the sources. First, it really starts with awareness and mindfulness.
Knowing it's happening.
Yes, you need to really memorize your reaction, as one source put it. Truly recognize those personal physical sensations. Maybe it's an upset stomach for you, or a racing heart, or tension in your jaw that signal you're in a triggered state.
Becoming familiar with your own signs.
Right. And then practice mindfulness and meditation, not to stop the feeling, but to observe these emotions and sensations without judgment, just noticing them.
Okay, awareness first. What's next?
Second, create space. Don't react immediately when you feel triggered.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Definitely. But even a small pause helps. Take a break from the situation if you can, even if it's just for a few moments. Step away, maybe splash water on your face.
Huh?
Deep breathing is huge. You can do it anywhere, anytime, and it directly signals calm to your nervous system. If you're in a stressful conversation, try rephrasing what you just heard back to the other person. That simple act gives your brain a crucial moment to slow down before reacting.
Buys you time.
Exactly. And develop grounding routines, things like parasympathetic breathing, progressive muscle relaxation techniques to reconnect with your body and calm your nervous system in the moment.
Grounding. Okay. Third.
Third, understand and accept your feelings. This sounds simple, but it's powerful. Listen to your feelings without judgment. Allow yourself to fully feel the emotion rather than trying to suppress it, ignore it, or push it away.
Let it be there.
Let it be there. Keeping a journal can be incredibly helpful here, too, to identify patterns, maybe see links between specific triggers and past experiences you hadn't connected before.
Makes sense. Number 4.
Fourth, pay attention to your self-talk. Our inner dialogue can often become quite negative when emotions feel overwhelming, right? We might say things like, "I messed up again," or "I'm so weak for feeling this."
Beating yourself up.
Exactly. Try to shift that to empathetic, positive self-talk. Things like, "Okay, this is hard, but I always try so hard," or "People are doing their best, including me." Treat yourself with the same empathy you'd readily offer a close friend going through the same thing.
Self-compassion again.
Crucial. Fifth, and this is a big one, seek professional help when needed.
Don't try to tough it out alone if it's too much.
Absolutely not. If you find yourself routinely triggered or feel truly unable to manage your triggers effectively on your own, speaking with a counselor, a life coach, or a mental health professional is a really valuable, strong step.
And there are specific therapies.
Yes. Therapies like EMDR, which specifically helps process traumatic memories, or CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which focuses on changing negative thought patterns and behaviors, or DBT, dialectical behavior therapy.
DBT. What does that help with specifically?
DBT is great for building skills to manage intense emotions. A core component is developing distress tolerance, basically, the ability to sit with really uncomfortable emotions without being completely overwhelmed or resorting to unhelpful coping mechanisms. It's a skill you can learn and practice.
Okay, good to know. What else?
Sixth, pretty straightforward but often overlooked, prioritize self-care.
The basics.
The absolute basics. Being triggered is emotionally and physically exhausting, so make sure your fundamental needs are met. Are you hungry? Dehydrated? Physically exhausted? These things can significantly worsen or even be the trigger for emotional responses sometimes. Don't underestimate the power of simply being well-rested and nourished.
HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired.
Exactly. That acronym is great. And finally, seventh, build a strong support system and establish healthy boundaries.
Community and protection.
Yes, cultivate a robust network of friends, family, or support groups you trust. Sharing your feelings can provide immense validation and perspective. Just knowing you're not alone makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And equally important, learn to establish healthy boundaries. Learning to say no when needed, protecting your time and energy, can help prevent triggering situations from arising in the first place.
Proactive self-care. Really.
You got it.
Before we wrap up, we should probably briefly touch on trigger warnings. It's related and comes up a lot.
Yeah. Good point. Trigger warnings or content warnings are basically statements alerting audiences to potentially distressing content ahead.
And they have benefits, right?
They can. They can help prevent unexpected distress, especially for individuals with PTSD or specific traumas. They can promote inclusivity by allowing people to make informed choices, empower that choice about engagement, and generally raise awareness about sensitive topics.
But there are criticisms, too.
There are. Some worry about potential overuse leading to desensitization, where they kind of lose their impact. Others suggest they might actually increase anxiety by priming individuals to expect upsetting content, sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And there's an ongoing debate, particularly in academic settings, about whether they might limit academic freedom or inadvertently encourage avoidance of difficult topics rather than helping individuals develop robust coping mechanisms to engage with them.
So it's complicated.
It is.
Yeah.
Ultimately, awareness and thoughtful, balanced use seem to be key. It's not a simple yes or no issue.
Right. Wow. Okay. That was definitely a deep dive today. We've journeyed from understanding those really startling physical reactions like Ian's
Yeah.
all the way to the hidden, surprising workings of our brains, how emotions are constructed, and even how our relationships and self-care are such crucial parts of this whole journey.
Absolutely. And I think the core takeaway here, if there's one thing to hold on to, is that while triggers are undeniably real and often deeply rooted in our past experiences, we are not just passive recipients of our emotional responses.
They're not helpless bystanders to our feelings.
Exactly. By understanding how our brains actively construct motions, how they make those guesses, we gain incredibly powerful insights. Insights into managing our reactions, building resilience, and genuinely shaping our emotional well-being over time.
That feeling of agency again, it's empowering.
It really is.
So here's a final provocative thought for you, our listeners, as you go about your week. The next time you feel that sudden, intense shift inside you, that wave of emotion, pause for just a moment. Instead of just reacting automatically, ask yourself, could this feeling maybe have a purely physical cause? Am I just hungry or really tired? Or what story is my brain telling me right now based on my past experiences?
What's the prediction happening here?
Yeah. And then perhaps consider, what new ingredient, maybe a different thought, a deep breath, a moment of self-compassion, what new ingredient could you introduce into that moment to help your brain construct a slightly different feeling, or at least manage the current one better?
That's a great challenge. We truly hope this conversation sparks even more curiosity for you. If you found value in this deep dive today, please consider liking this episode, maybe sharing it with a friend who might find it helpful, or leaving us a comment with your thoughts or experiences.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Your engagement really helps us continue to bring these important topics to light and explore them together.
It really does.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We truly appreciate you taking the time to learn with us today. We'd love for you to come back for our next deep dive. Until then, stay curious.
Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.